Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Bandai Movie Monster Series Gyaos 1967. Now, this version of Gyaos comes from the 1967 film Gamera vs. Gyaos, which I think is an enjoyable movie. I do like it. As a whole, with the exception of Gamera Super Monster, I think all of the Showa Gamera movies are, pretty enjoyable. I mean, obviously they're not as good as the Heisei Gamera movies, that goes without saying, but still, I do really like the Showa Gamera movies. They are, for me at least, they are a fun time. I know they're not everyone's cup of tea. I know there are some people who don't like them, but as far as I'm concerned, I do like them. And, Gamera vs. Gyaos is no exception. I like that movie, too. Again, it's not as good as any of the Heisei Gamera movies, but still, it's enjoyable. Again, with the exception of Super Monster, the Showa Gamera movies are good. If you can avoid Super Monster, then don't watch Gamera Super Monster, but the rest of the Showa Gamera movies are pretty cool. And I mentioned this last week, but it's really cool to see Bandai making figures of, Showa Gamera stuff, because last week I reviewed their Gamera 65, and now we have, Gyaos 1967 here, so, yeah. It would be really cool if they did, a Barugun or Giron. I said all this last week, and at this point I'm just repeating myself, but still, it would be really cool if they did that. I mean, I'm sure it'll happen soon, but we just got these two, so it might be a little bit before we get those guys, but I digress. Anyway, I've been rambling on for far too long. Let's just get into this. Like usual, before we take a look at the figure itself, I just want to take a quick look at the tag here. The cover here, it's pretty much the same, Movie Monster Series here, both in Japanese and English. Right there, the Katakawa logo, right there in the corner. Gyaos 1967, both in English and in Japanese, and some legal information here. Of course, for the picture here, we have a nice picture of Gyaos shooting breast milk, which was my favorite scene in the movie. For the back, we have a nice picture of the poster for Gamera vs. Gyaos. And obviously, Gamera vs. Gyaos right here at the bottom here. Bandai Katakawa, 1967, made in China. Bandai Namco, and some Japanese writing that I can't read. On the inside here, we have a bunch of Japanese writing that, again, I can't read. And we have a nice picture of Gyaos here. Showa Gyaos, that is. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the tag on this figure. Now going back to the actual figure itself, like usual, to start this review, I'll take a quick look at the paint, and the painting on this figure, I think, looks nice. So right off the bat, as you can see, the entirety of this figure is casted in this very dark shade of brown, almost like a black coloration, which I think works very nicely for this figure. The wings are painted this very dark shade of red, which I think looks nice, and there's a little bit of painting on the torso here. The wings look a little different in the movie, but to be fair, it doesn't look too off. Basically these bits right here, these shouldn't be painted, but still, that's minor. Overall, I do think the wings still look nice. The toenails here are airbrushed this whitish color, as well as the fingernails here, which I think looks nice, though I think it would have looked a little nicer if they were more of this yellowish whitish color. And I know this is a nitpick, but it would have been nice if they painted these bits here. But again, I know Bandai, they don't really fully paint their figures, which bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Or at least their Bandai vinyls they don't fully paint. But I'm getting off topic here. The teeth here are painted a very, very bright shade of white, which again, it would have been a little better if these were more of a yellowish whitish color, but still, the teeth don't look bad at all. And the inside of the mouth here is painted this very dark shade of glossy red, which I think looks okay. And the last thing to point out would be the eyes here. The eyes are painted yellow with red pupils. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the painting on this figure. Overall, I think it's very solid. It's not one-to-one, but it still looks nice on its own. It's not like they just completely missed, huge chunks of this figure. Unlike a certain other figure that I've talked about, the painting here, it looks okay. So the painting on this figure, I'd say gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the articulation. And the articulation on this figure, Well, the legs can move forward this much, and the legs can also move backwards this much. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Normally, because there is a seam here at the neck, which kind of hints at movement there. Usually, I would complain about there not being articulation here in the head, but I think it's okay here because in the movie, Gamera vs. Gyaos, it's stated that the way Gyaos' skeletal structure is, he like physically like can't like look side to side, which I mean I feel like that's more so like the suit limitation, but that's what they say in the movie. So as far as this figure goes, I think like this is okay because it makes sense for Gyaos. So yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the articulation on this figure. There's not a lot, but honestly, like besides the legs, like on a Bandai vinyl like this, there's not really a whole lot you can do with the articulation. You know, with it making sense. I mean, you could have had head articulation, but again, in the movie, Gyaos was physically not able to, so again, it makes sense. So if it's just the legs that have articulation, I'm totally fine with that. So the articulation on this figure, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to say it gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the sculpt, and the sculpting on this figure, I think looks good. You know, I think the proportions are, you know, nice looking. Nothing looks too out of place or anything like that, and overall, I just think that this is a very accurate representation of how Gyaos looked in Gamera vs. Gyaos. I guess if I had one minor thing to say, you know, it doesn't really bother me, but just something that I think is just a little weird, and I don't fully understand it. The way the claws are positioned, like, this one is sticking up more than this one, which, again, not the end of the world whatsoever, like, not a problem, I don't care, but still, it just kind of makes you think, like, why? Like, it's such a minor thing, I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking things, you know? And really quick, I just want to talk about it. I love this design for Gyaos. I mean, I like the Heisei design more, but I absolutely love this design too, because it gives off that, like, spooky, like, Halloween vibe, because, you know, Halloween is the best holiday ever. Like, listen, I'm just presenting the facts here. Don't shoot the messenger. Halloween, like, objectively is the best holiday. But, yeah. This Gyaos just looks very, very bat-like, and also the coloration, like, really adds to that, too. So, yeah. But I'm getting off topic here. The sculpting on this figure, it looks nice. Definitely gets a pass. Now, I'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure I think looks very nice, so let's take a closer look. So starting off at the head here, we can see all of the ridges here and all of, like, the little bumps in the head here, and then the skin overall is detailed very nicely. Everything here looks very crisp. And even like the neck here, we have a nice bit of like all the wrinkles here and creases and whatnot, I think is detailed very nicely. Going to the torso here again, this little bit of like armored plating going on here I think is detailed very nicely, just very nicely defined. And same with the wings here too. Again, just a lot of really nice bits of like wrinkles like here, and overall just a lot of great detailing. The legs here also have a lot of really nice detailing too. Again, all of the creases and wrinkles here and whatnot just looks really nice. And the feet here again just have a lot of really nice detailing. The tail here has some nice detailing as well, this bit in particular, and just kind of just cut clean off here. That's what it looks like anyway. Gyaos' back here is detailed pretty nicely as well, just a lot of really nice defining here. And the back of the wings too, again, just a lot of really, really nice detailing here. And overall, the detailing on this figure looks very nice. So the detailing on this figure, I'd say, definitely gets a pass. Now, we'll do some size comparisons. Here we have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Gamera, 1965. These two complement each other very nicely, and it's going to be great to take pictures with these two. Here we have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Gyaos, 1995. Here we have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Iris. And of course, here we have some hand sanitizer. And here we have Dr. Billy Grant. So at the end of the day, should you get this figure? I'd say yes. You know, the painting on it looks okay. The sculpting, the detailing overall looks great. Not a lot of articulation, but, you know, it's a Bandai vinyl. There's usually not a lot of articulation with these figures, and overall, I do think that this is a nice looking figure, and I do recommend that you pick it up. As far as price tags go, you're looking at about, like, around 25 bucks, which is honestly not bad at all. Like, the quality on this figure, I think, is pretty nice. So, yeah, definitely get this figure if you can. Anyway, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.